You know what else? Let me cut my um I am so sorry, you guys. I am so sorry. I'm running late. I was just sitting down, just talking to my daughter, and I say unto you, I am so sorry. Um, I come and we're gonna kind of cover Revelation chapter 13. Okay, someone request Revelation chapter 13, and I want to really pretty much cover it in a way of allowing you to understand that Revelation 13 is really about different nations coming to the forefront and different things happening. But I want you to know that the Father says that that power that you see that's being transferred is what He's allowing to bring them to the forefront, and where they're going to really be doing a lot of destroying one another and building up with each other and supporting one another, but yet in all they're going to be fulfilling what he has already prophesied that shall take place in the days to come. So someone had request that we talk about Revelation 13, and I wanted to cover Revelation 13. But also in Revelation 13, it talks about a lot of chaos that's going to be taking place among the nations and how they're going to come together and join one another and battle with one another, and how one going to defeat the other one. And in 13, it also talks about how the one that's going to really do the most is going to be the also the one that's tried to bring the saints to a lower level and defeat them and overpower them. I want you all to understand that even in the midst of that, I believe that there are going to still be individuals that will be left here with all this chaos. Because when I get to Revelation 14, I begin to see where they transferred, in Revelation 14, they transferred Mount Zion. They begin to talk about Mount Zion in Revelation 14, chapter 1. I mean, chapter 14, verse 1. So it did like a transition from 13, saying how the saints, let me get to there. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 7, it says, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. That means to defeat them in some way or another. And the power was given. You see all this stuff being given? You see, this is what Yah wants you to know. This is not man-made having this ability, okay? This is the Father's judgment, okay? He has judged the earth, okay, and everything got to fall in place to the order and how he has judged the earth and how everything has to pan out. So here in verse 7, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 7, it says, and the power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nation. And verse 8 says, we in Revelation 13 and verse 8, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, which whose names are not written in the book of life of the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So what is that telling me? It's actually telling me the dark side, okay? That everybody that dwells upon the earth that's on the dark side is going to actually serve the dark side, as far as these different nations that's going to be coming together and all this chaos among them and different nation coming into the oneness and other nation battling and destroying the other one, and one pulling up and being ruler and the beast and the dragon giving his authority and his power. All of this, y'all want you to keep in mind that he has the power over. It ain't nothing that we are to see that's going on in Revelation that causes us to think that y'all lost it or we are lost. No, because soon as you pull up in Revelation 14, hear what it says. In Revelation 14, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion. Wait a minute, hold up. How did we switch from 13 to 14 and a lamb is already on Mount Zion? Listen to what it stood on Mount Zion, and with him and 144,000 having his father's name written in their forehead. In verse 2, and I heard a voice from heavens as a voice of many waters. Oh, now there go the Father pulling up of many waters, and as a voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of a harp harping with their harps. Okay, so he said in verse 3, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn the song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Yesterday we talked about the redeemed. See, a lot of us thought and felt, okay, if we come down here as the spiritual seed, all we need to do is come down as the spiritual seed. We're going to go back as the spiritual seed. No, y'all set up a total different order, that those that are coming in during the time after the Messiah was to be born again. Why? That's the redeeming. That's the redeemer, and this is where you're going to be redeemed. Let me tell y'all why. Let's say, for instance, if I came down in the spirit, okay, when the Messiah came, now there's what you call a new sheriff in town, okay, and he's coming for the lost. He's coming to redeem us back to the Father, right? Okay, if he's coming to redeem us back, but if we already have the spirit and we came down here as to be a servant of the spirit, to walk in spirit, how can he redeem something back that's already have the spirit to walk in, that come down to walk by the spirit or with the spirit of Yah? You see, he had to redeem us back. We had to be born again. So this is a lamb that was already in the kingdom before the foundation of the world. Chad, he already knew that he was going to have to send someone to redeem those who got lost. And that's what happened. And I'm going to tell you how lost people were, to the point where I tried to explain to you over and over and over. People really think that this is the key in their hand, and this is the keys to the kingdom, and this is the ticket. I'm there already. All I have to do is know I got them in my hand. And that's the mindset. They didn't have to believe in Yeshua HaMashiach. They didn't have to believe in the mission of the Redeemer. They didn't have to believe in salvation. All they have to do is come down here to be the ones that's following the spirit. And all they had to do is say they have the keys in one hand and the ticket in another. This is what's going on in the world today. That's why you have so many different denominations and so many different religions, and ain't now one of them give a rat's behind about salvation, about being redeemed, about being saved, about the power, about the word. They don't care about none of that. And Sister Deborah have taught on here over and over and over about how the ball been dropped. The ball been dropped. The ball been dropped. When did I say the ball was dropped? The ball was dropped before the foundation of, not before the foundation. The ball was dropped way at the beginning in Genesis. So I sit and told y'all the ball still ain't been picked up. So what if we came down here to follow the spirit? We came down as spiritual seed to follow the spirit. But guess what? The ball been dropped. Have we picked up that ball? Have we seeked within us the servant? If we are the servant, are we the called to serve the Father? Are we the workers in the vineyard? What are we? We don't care. We just feel that, okay, if I come down at the spiritual seed, I'm going back as the spiritual seed. But you know what? You are going back only if you are redeemed back. Because what I believe, a lot of people are so holy than thou, they figure, I'm in there. Look at Judah. Look at Israel. They think, hey, we in there. It ain't nothing to this. We in there. But they fail to realize, baby, you got to be redeemed. You got to be redeemed. You got to be born again. Israel and Judah is not going to be able to just walk on in. You got to be born again. And this is a stage, this is a level where no one wants to tackle or speak on because they thinking that, hey, I already got my ticket. I got the keys. They are not even following or listening to spirit and truth. I told y'all. So listen to me. If I was a spiritual seed and I came down here, if I haven't heard nothing, I haven't did nothing but say that I have the keys and I have the ticket to get into Mount Zion, I'm good to go because I'm the spiritual seed. That's all that connection I was telling you about. I told you about the fruit of the spirit. I told you about the work. I told you about laboring as the servant. No one wants to grip none of that. They just want to be the spiritual ones that come down and to go back. And that's real sad, child. That's real sad. So as I was reading Revelation chapter 13, soon as at the end of chapter 13, almost at the end, almost, no, at verse 7 and verse 8, it began to tell you about how they're going to have, they were given to make war against the saints and overcome them. And the power was given over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and then it begin to tell you everybody that dwells upon the earth gonna worship this darkness, but the saints is gonna be overpowered by it. That's because they're gonna see that this stuff, they're gonna see it for really what it is. And it says here that they're gonna make war with the saints and overcome them, and the power was given unto all kindreds and all tongues and all nations. That power was given to overshadow and defeat the saints. Guess why? Because when you pull over to verse 4, bam, there they go in Mount Zion. They already in Mount Zion. You see, that's how it's going. That's exactly how Yah rumbles, that quicken. He got them already from one level to the other. And in spite of all the chaos in Revelation 13, it's really singing you a song about how Yah is going to let all that chaos be amongst them, and they're gonna get this victory among the saints. And when I say overpower them, it's not. I don't think they're going to be able to overpower them as far as killing them, but what we stand for is not going to exist among them. It ain't gonna mean nothing. But then soon as you get into 14, Revelation 14, there we go, up on Mount Zion. That's just how quick it's gonna be. You see, so Revelation 13 is really about all the different nations coming together. Who's gonna be greater? Who's gonna be knocked off? Who's gonna be higher? And who's gonna go here? And they all gonna be singing this. They all singing the same song. You see, and that's wicked and evil. These gonna be people whose names are not in the Lamb Book of Life on this earth in Revelation 13, acting the fool. But when 14 pull up, that's it. We there already. So we had to have gotten there from the end of 13. And I'm just using Revelation 13 to show you how quick that happened. It's like they was doing this, and all those that wasn't written in the Lamb Book of Life. They was worshiping the beast and all of that, and then bam, bam, bam. And then all the ones that are of the that has been redeemed, There they go already up in Mount Zion. And then let's go there. Verse 14. Let me show you what it says. Here in verse 14. Where was it at? Oh, and verse 3. In Revelation chapter 14 and verse 3, they sung a song. They sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn the song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. So that redeem is the key. He come to redeem those who come down as the spiritual seeds. That's what Yeshua HaMashiach came down. Basically, HaMashiach, because he was the one raised HaMashiach, Yeshua. But then Yeshua died for all man's sin. Died. And HaMashiach raised him up. And that was redeeming us back. Now, we don't have to continue to come down here in the spiritual seed, but yet we walking in the dark way. Y'all didn't know that, did you? Yes. That's why you needed to be born again. That's why you needed to be born again. That was why the lamb was slaughtered before the foundation of the world, because it had a mission to come down to redeem you back, because he knew you was going to go into the way of the world. And many are like that today. So we were talking about being blotted out of the Lamb Book of Life. We talked about that. You can be blotted out. And I think somebody said it yesterday, the ones that are blotted, they did come down as the spiritual seed, but they weren't redeemed back. You see? And if you ever wonder a number, you all, if you want to know about a number, when you look at 144,000, that's not a number, y'all. That's not a number at all. That's what I call that. I could actually say that's what you call a small remnant. So with this topic, with Revelation or any of this redeeming or anything, it's your time. If you have any questions or if you got answers, if you even got verses, let's talk about that this evening. Hello, everyone in the live chat. It's good to see you. All righty. So I do like the idea that in 13 it's almost like that might be where he snatched hens out. Because come 14, they already in Mount Zion. Already. Okay. 144K is not even a pin needle. It really is not. And I can't see. I know it don't make sense. How could anybody on this earth miscount 144 being the whole house of Israel? Come on now. How could they? That's where you know something else is going on. But they don't see it like that. They erase the 144 and they just say everybody in the house of Israel, Jacob. All Jacob's tribes is going. That 144, you got to understand what that 144 is counted as. And did you all know? I think I talked about it earlier about Dan. Okay, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 11 and 12. Now in Revelation 13, chapter 11 and 12. And I beheld another beast come up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb. And he spoke as a dragon. And he exercised all his power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Because see what is actually happening, and I want to say this. Revelation 13 and verse 12, 11 and 12. If you are redeemed, this is the last thing you need to be worried about. Let me tell you why. Let's bump up to verse 8. You bump to 11 and 12. I'm going to bump you right back up to verse 8. All they and all that dwell on the earth, all that dwell in Russia, all that dwell in China, all that dwell in Canada or Turkey. No, he says here, and all that dwell upon the earth. And then it's a star. I don't know if y'all book has this here. Look at mine. That star right here. Can you see that little dot? It looks like a dot, but it's a, wait a minute. It's a star right there on verse 8. And when stuff like that happens, that means Deborah, get on that. So what I want to show you when you're pulling out 11 and 12, if you are redeemed, 11 and 12 is the last thing you need to be worried about. But we're going to go over that. But in verse 8, it says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose names are not written. They're going to worship who? The beast. Okay? There are two kinds that's pulling up. The one that's going to have a head that's wounded. And the second one the second one is going to come, and that's in verse 12. He exercised all the power of the first beast, okay, before him, and he caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So he's talking about still Revelation 13, all the different nations and those who are going to have power, okay? And those who are going to be the beast. That's going, the dragon going to give them, the individual nation, the power, okay? And when that's done, it's another one going to pull up. He's going to be like unto the first beast. But the first beast is going to have a head wound, and that's going to be that's for an identity to let everybody know that this is the beast. What's the key? One of his heads wound. So that can be NATO, that can be any organization or any country that other countries has joined, and their president got knocked off or their country got knocked off. You see, the one of the heads are going to be wounded. You see, so of that first beast, and this one that you're concerned about is the second one, who's going to exercise the same power as the first one and cause the earth, going back to the earth. When he's speaking of the earth, he's talking about people who are not in the Lamb Book of Life. So you see how we ain't got no business hooked up on those who ain't going. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at. We feel that we need to know about people who are, Yah is showing us that's going to remain on the judgment of his power, and how they're going to be cutting up from the floor, because that's what he said in verse 8. He said, these are the people who are not written in the Lamb Book of Life before the foundation of the world. Their name is not written. Okay, they're not in that book. So it's like, but we want to know everything about Revelation 13 without wanting to know where are we at and where are we going and what's going to happen to us. But we want to know more about, well, which beast is this, who is this, and what country this one coming out, and what country. It's nothing going to be hidden when it come down to this. The best thing you probably would want is not to be here. That's the best. So here in verse 8 and then in verse 9, it says, if any man have that ear, he's talking about the spiritual ear, let him hear. Then he go on to 10, he that led into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed shall be killed by the sword. You see all this sort of stuff that's happening? This is the judgment of the Most High Yah. He's showing you no matter how many of them come together into a oneness, and no matter how many, if there's one beast or two, no matter how much power it is said that the dragon has given them, the power rests in the mighty right hand of the Father. He's the one going to throw down and throw up and throw down. because it's all letting you know when you hit Revelation 14, they already up in Mount Zion. How did everybody get there that quick? What about we in Revelation 13? Because Revelation 13 is not something we as the redeemed should be really concerned about, because unless we have not been redeemed. Okay, so here in verse 11 and verse 12, it's just another form of the beast, and it's a form of he that comes to control and rule. You see, likened to the first beast. And these are people who are hooked on power and control. But if you really look at 8 and you look at 10, he's letting you know. He said, this is the patience of the faith of the saints. Verse 10. And that led into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed with the sword shall be killed with the sword. No, it didn't say there. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. That's where we need to be. The patience and the faith of the saints. When we read this should bring us the faith and the patience. That's why I see now, pull up in Revelation 14. We are in Mount Zion already. Because in spite of it, it's actually telling you in 10, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Letting us know all of this that they did, they're being judged by it. And he calling it the earth. That means everybody. Because he's showing you how great a number that is not redeemed, that came down as the serpent seed and still remained the serpent seed. No matter if it's the beast, the first beast, or the second, he's still showing you that they shall be killed. 13 is really showing you how he's going to do it. And how they're going to think that they have really overcome the saints. And he's saying, hey, saints, y'all just have patience. This is what you call, here is the patience and faith of the saints. That's beautiful. In a sense, letting us know y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. I'm like saying, well, wait a minute, 14, they already in Mount Zion. So right in here, you guys, during the time of all of these here, the beast, which I saw like a leopard, and the feet of a bear, the mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave his power and his seat and his great authority. All of these, even the one that's is said to have a head, the 10 horns, all of these things are things that's the judgment of Yah, when he's going to allow them to come together thinking they're going to have great power in a way that they're going to come together and form themselves, and they all going to be destroying each other, believe it or not, even in the ideal of forming themselves into a oneness. You see, and let me see, the dragon was wrought with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. There go that remnant, which kept the commandments of Yah. That's the one, the redeemers. That's those who are redeemed. See, and that's another thing. Those who are redeemed, these are the ones that are coming back to the bosom of the Father. These are the eternal ones, okay? They are the redeemed. And that's why Christ, they rest in Christ. Christ being the head, and they are in the body, okay? And I believe in the body is all nationalities. I really do. I believe that in the body is all nationalities. I think Christ is the head, but I believe the body is all nationalities. I think all the sheep, the true sheep, are going to be pulled from there, from the body. So to me, they are already locked in and in full protection. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, someone says Revelation 15 and verse 2. In Revelation 15, it says, and I saw another sign in heavens, a great marvelous seven angels having seven last plagues, for in them is filled with the wrath of Yah. Oh yeah, and that's good because that's going into 15. See, once he get 14, is letting you know Mount Zion is you locked, y'all. Once he gets you there, it's on down here. That's why I know he's saying something in Revelation 13 to the saints. And then you look at Revelation 13 in verse what was that at we just saw when he said at Revelation chapter 10, he said, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Just letting you know your patience and faith is going to be rewarded. Okay, then you pull up on 14, y'all already in Mount Zion. And then you say 15, and it says, and I saw another sign in heavens, a great marvelous seven angels having seven last plagues, for in them is filled up with the wrath of Yah. Is that no. It's the second one. Okay, you said in the second one. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingling with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over the image and over his mark and over the number of his name stand on the sea of glass, having a harps of Yah. Okay, now those are those who are not and didn't bow down to the beast. These are the individual who didn't accept the beast and didn't accept and worship him, and like they did in Revelation 13, and they weren't in. It says here in verse 8, no, first in verse 8, that those that dwell that, and in verse 8, Revelation 13 and verse 8, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose name are not written in the Lamb book of life, Lamb book slain from the foundation of the world. So all of this stuff about 13, do not put your heart too heavy on all these different countries coming up, all these horns and all these beasts and all these here. What else did they say coming up here? All the bear and the beast rising and the seven heads and the 10 horns. Those are nations, you guys. Those are nations and coming to a oneness, and they thinking they doing something in power. They ain't doing nothing. They still coming into the oneness that Yah set up. They think they doing it. They think they finna rule something. They still coming into that judgment. They don't even know it's like a door they walking in. And they think they in full control because they think their power is still legit, and they just walking straight through the door that leads to hell. That's all. That's the best way I can describe it. And if we get focused really on this, then we don't understand how we're going in darkness to really meditate on the horns, the 10 horns, and the beast that rises from the sea, and the seven heads, and the 10 horns, and the beast which I saw like unto the leopard, and the feet of the bear, and all of that. All of that, I know that Persia, Russia, all of them, that's all that's talking about. But he don't want us to get lost in that, because we're coming out of that. We're going to see some of that now. Don't get me wrong. On our way out. Okay? On our way out. And someone says Revelation chapter 15 and verse 2. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingling with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over the image, and over his mark, over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass that's mingling with fire, y'all. A sea of glass that mingling with fire, having the harps of Yah. You see? Standing on the sea of glass, mingling with fire. That's what we should be getting victory out of. That alone. And that's why I said it's a strange thing how Revelation pull up with all these nations, these horns, and yes, they all the NATO, BRICS, and all of them. That's all that's about. And the other one too, I forgot the name of it, but it's all of them. That's what that's all about. They're using their power of their country to lead people, and people are following them. And they're going to be the both beasts is going to represent a country and countries, but they're going to have a leader as well. And one going to want you to worship the first one because they're coming to take the first beast seat. And I like it in Revelation 13 because he shows you how they overcome the saints. They were able to overcome the saints. But guess why? Because Yah put the saints in a stage of humbleness, patience. Only one could do that but Yah. Okay? Yeah. That's the only one can do that. And someone says, very diversive, what's that? Remnant. Yeah. So yes, this is what Revelation is really detailing. But if we hook to Revelation and stay on 11 and 12, what victory do we get out of that? It's plainly telling you there's going to be two beasts. The one that's going to be first, one of the heads are going to be wounded. That means one of the leaders. Okay. And if you really think about the 10 horns and those who got the crowns, all that represents a lot of the nations and the kings of the nations, all of them coming together. And that they're doing now, right now, as I speak. A lot of them doing it right now as I speak, you guys. But y'all want us to keep the patience, know that here is the patience of and faith of saints. That's really what he's telling us in Revelation 13. Keep to patience and faith. Because he's taking us out of that, y'all. He's going to he's going to bring us out of that. Okay? Anybody else that wants to cover Revelation 13 or any other verse? If I can, I will. And when you, like I said, when you got into Revelation 15, it still said this is another sign in the heavens. And you got to start Revelation, even before you can drop to Revelation chapter 15 and 2, all you had to do is go back to Revelation 15 and 1. I saw another sign in heavens. There you go. Great and marvelous. How can we skip that? 7 angels having 7 last plagues. Okay, to pull out on those that stuff that's going on in Revelation 13. And he says have 7 angels having 7 last plagues. Meaning I ain't playing. This is where I'm gonna finish this thing right here and now. For in them is filled with the wrath of Yah. Baby, that's the Father talking. You see, the 7 last plagues, they're not for the redeemed, the ones that's redeemed. It's for those that he was talking about in Revelation 13. Okay. And in Revelation 14, it tells you about the redeemed with the Lamb. That's what it's talking about. And the redeemed are the ones that was born again. Remember, who was that? I forgot. It said, how can a man go back into his mother womb or something like that? Because he said he must be born again. And that born again is like unto being saved. It's the same thing. Save. How are we saved? We were lost and now we saved. You see, it's likened to redeemed. We're saved because we all was going to be lost because we got off the path of what you call righteous that we came down here as. If he didn't think, okay, I'm gonna ask y'all this question. I'm gonna ask everybody. Like, say, let's use me. If I came down here as the spiritual seed, if Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, didn't come to redeem, or didn't come, let's say, for the lost, to redeem the lost, to save the lost, where would I be? Where would you be? We using me, and we then going to bounce off of you. If you and I came down as the spiritual seed, okay, we ain't talking about the serpent seed now. We talking about the spiritual seed. And we came down here, born into sin. We didn't been down here, let's say 50 years. There you go. Still lost. That's the answer. We will be still lost. There you go. You get the point of how, even though we came down here as the spiritual ones, we still been lost. And we need to be saved. We need to be redeemed. We need to be adopted back. You remember, wasn't it a parable of the lost son? That's the kingdom, y'all. I know y'all don't understand that. The prodigal son, you remember? But the other son was disappointed because he's like, why are they giving and celebrating? Praise the mighty God. That's what y'all don't understand. The prodigal son. That's what that is all about. It's heaven's rejoicing because he's redeeming those back that came down here. And that's the example. That's a beautiful example. He said, now, if he said something about if you had something that fell into a well, and one of your sheep fell into a well or something like that, would not the shepherd go and leave the sheep to go, in a sense, pull that one out? That's what redeeming is, y'all. That's what save is. Do y'all get it? That's what all of that is about. That's the best example. The prodigal son. What did the prodigal son do? Y'all, come on. Y'all got to know this. The prodigal son went out there into the world. And he began to act like one of the worstest piece of thing that's out there, which was a pig. So he's trying to show you how the son went out there. Now, see, this is exactly because, see, his dad, the prodigal son father, was a wealthy man. And his son left a wealthy house. But he wanted to go out into the what? The world. And he was out there. And during the time he was out there, he lost everything that he had. He even lost the ideal of, my father is the rich of the rich. All I have to do is get out of this pig pen and go back to my father. And I don't have to eat and live among this pig in this pig pen. My father is wealthy. Let me go back to my father. Yeah, that's the example I'm sitting here telling you when we was talking about yesterday is being the light. You was wealthy from the beginning. You had a father that cared so much for you. He didn't want you to leave, but you wanted to go out. So you had it everywhere you were at. You had it from A to Z. But you wanted to go where? Out in this world. You went out. And you got so, now I'm show y'all something that y'all don't get. And I'm talking to you and you're looking at me all cockeyed. But he went all the way out. And when you don't see a pig pen and him living and eating out there by at the pig pen, if you don't see that's the low of the low, that's what it's trying to show you. That's what we did, y'all. We got away from the light, the Father who was leading us. And we went all the way out into the world. All the way out there. And he went as low, the prodigal son went as low as a man can go. Eating with the pigs. That's what we were. But y'all said, hold up, though. Do ever tell him I had a ram in the bush that came to redeem you back home, like unto the prodigal son. And when his daddy saw him coming and realized his son returning home, y'all want you to know that's how he feel when he sent that redeemer to redeem you back. That's like the prodigal son coming back. You see? When that's what Yeshua HaMashiach come to do. Yeshua couldn't come alone. He needed HaMashiach. You see? So the prodigal son is actually an example. And then I think Yeshua set another example and said, if a shepherd had some sheep or something like that, and one fell into the well, would he leave the sheepfold to go pull out the one in the well? When that's what y'all did when he had that ram in the bush, which is the lamb that slaughtered before the foundation of the world. He was coming to redeem us back to the Father. It wasn't that we didn't come from the Father, because we did. But we came into this world and got involved in any and everything the world has to offer us. Look what this man did. He even decided to go to eat and live among the pigs. You see? Yeah. Yeah, and he wanted his inheritance. But what was about, but that's also going back to show you how we did the Father. So I'm glad you brought that out, because when you said and he asked his father for his inheritance. See, he wanted all that he felt that he was entitled to. But he got out there so far out in the world that he needed a what? A life jacket. He needed to come back. And look how his father received him. That's how Yah is when we are redeemed back. You see? That's how, yeah, that's what he said. That he'll leave the 99 just to get that one. Why? What's the difference from the 99 and that one? Let me see if y'all gonna figure that one out. What's the difference from that 99 he will leave to fetch that one that's lost? What's the difference? Or is it a difference? Is it a difference? Anybody? Is there a difference? Going in the wrong direction. Yes, that's what he was doing. The 99 never got off path. Okay. Okay. Someone said the oneness. That 99, that's a good way to put it. The oneness, because it was bringing that one they got away back into the oneness of the 99. So you could say it like that. That's a good way. That's a good way. But it's still showing you that one that got off, even though he got off, he was a part of the oneness that Yah brought. That the sheep that got away from the 99, he was brought back into the what? The fold. And that's how Yah would like to send you all the message tonight. And I like that idea you called it a oneness, because that makes a lot of sense, a whole lot of sense. Because I wouldn't have came up with the oneness, but it makes a lot of sense. He was still a spiritual seed, just needed to have a lifeline. No, he needed to be redeemed because someone had to go get him. He wasn't coming back himself. He needed to be redeemed. Somebody had to go get him and bring him back to the fold. Oh, Father Yah. And that's my Father. That's the ram in the bush. That's what Yeshua HaMashiach was, coming to redeem us back. But before he can redeem us back, he had to bring every human being back to the level of sinless. And after his death on the cross, it wiped everybody's sin away, to the point where it was said that there were those who came up out of the grave. Hello. See, a lot of people don't understand the level of the death, burial, and resurrection. That's why you can't celebrate it as Easter eggs. You can't celebrate it the way the people celebrates it. You can't celebrate it like that. If you wanted to get with your families, yes. But you can't celebrate it as the way that they set it up, because it's more than just what they're saying. Candy, Easter egg, everybody getting a new suit, everybody getting a new haircut, a new hairstyle, a new dress, and go to church only that day out of a year. Come on now. That death, burial, and resurrection was more than Easter egg hunt. It was doing that whole overall. Oh, you said that's what you meant? Okay. He was still spiritual seed, just needed a lifeline. Yeah, he needed that redeemer. Right. And that's what we needed, to be born again. We needed to be redeemed back. We must be born again. And it's all still connected to salvation and being redeemed, being saved. That's why I say a lot of stuff. You know what, though? I sit back and I think of it as how everybody has gone into a different direction in understanding. And I want so bad to think that somebody did it intentionally wrong. But when it all said, Yah had a big hand in this, y'all, and still do. He has a big hand in it all. Okay. And when it all said and done, you should be able to see that right hand. That right hand is what we should really behold. Okay, someone has the Gospel of John, chapter 3, and verse oh yes, that's it, in verse 4 through 7. And the Gospel of John, chapter 3, and verse 4 through 7. Let's bump it up to 3. Yeshua asked and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again. Listen to what he's saying. He cannot see the kingdom of heaven. Do y'all see that? You see that? Now, what if he came from the kingdom as the spiritual seed? If I came from the kingdom as a spiritual seed, I'm a hot mess by now. And y'all knew that. He knew that we got off and we got lost. Tell the truth, y'all. We got lost. So what's the best way is for him to come and get us back? He sent us some help. He took that lamb before the foundation of the world and he slaughtered that plan to make sure he redeemed us thousands of years later. After we had all that time. Okay, I'm gonna set an example. Let me show y'all an example. And y'all think this, y'all might take this to be just something just to be said. But listen to what I was saying. What have we learned? In the beginning, we learned that the word was Yah, the word is Yah, and the word was with him in the beginning. So before he even started creating everything, he was the word. Look what we're learning in the year 2025 that's been missed. Everything he said, when he said let, that was his word speaking. The word said, giving a commandment to his own power. Let there be. And then he broke it down, telling the power how he wanted it, and the power brought it forth. The word and the power works hand in hand. Many of of what Yah is a oneness. They work together. But as he was speaking, his power was bringing it forth. In the beginning, I was telling y'all he had an image. Why we did not want to know the image of Yah? If you're going to give us an image, what is that image? What is that image that you said you're going to give us? It's a spirit. And it's a spirit because he's a spirit that has an image, feminine and masculine. His power was dropped in the beginning. His word was dropped in the beginning. And his image was dropped in the beginning. So how dare we think that we can walk as the light all this time and we didn't drop the ball way back? Had not we have come together on this devil platform and speak of spirit and truth and the light and the Ruach reveal these things to us, we'll still be running around here like the Christians, like the Pope, the Catholics, the Muslim, the Jehovah's Witness. We'll be down here grabbing any religion that's possible to make sense to us. Because y'all, the reality is the ball's still been dropped. Ain't nobody picked it up. We didn't pick it up, but I'm just still saying, you see, all of that was still lost. But we come down here as spiritual seeds. Why did we lose? Why haven't we picked up all that spiritual food? Why is it we ain't picked up spirit and truth? Why we have not picked up the light? Remember, he said, we are the light that set upon a hill. What happened to our light? We came down as walking in the spirit, following the spirit of Yah, and going in the way of the world. We didn't give a rest behind about the power. We didn't get a rest behind about the word. We didn't get a rest behind about his left, his right, his right hand. We didn't give a rest behind that's in the book 2,000 times. We didn't give a rest behind about his stretched out arm. We don't give a rest behind about nothing. But we say we come down here in the spirit. But we know nothing about this spiritual creator. And we can't know because we needed to be redeemed. Back to him. And he ain't saying that now you redeem, you know it all. But you redeem because I sent you down as a spiritual seed and you got off course. And I'm redeeming you back. But there's those who don't want to come back. There's those who's going to be left out there. Did they come down? Yes. But they're not born again. Why? Because they don't believe in Yeshua HaMashiach. They don't believe he came down and the Father sent him. They don't believe the death, burial, and resurrection. Y'all missing it. Y'all missing it big time. It all makes sense. You see? So say we came down here as the spiritual seed. Look what all is missing. Let's say, for instance, if I never met you and you never met me. Look how much stuff that's missing that we never knew. And we were willing to live like that. Y'all didn't have no problem with you living like that. But it was something about him wanting you to know spirit and truth. Him wanting you to know the light exists that will give you the way that you may find your way. As his spirit find his way into you. Have you ever wondered? Oh, my battery. No one, let me lock this back in. No one would even think, that makes so much sense. It does. It makes a whole lot of sense. And that's why, remember how Sister Deborah used to say all the time, everybody just think they just going and go, oh, I got my ticket. I got my key. That's the spirit of people. I'm not talking, you're probably thinking I'm talking about the flesh, but that's the spirit of people. That's how people's spirit is. They think like that. That's how people's spirit is. They just think that, hey, I got my ticket in one hand and the key in the other one, and my ticket lead me to Mount Zion. He said he's coming for the whole house of Israel. I'm ready. I know me and him got a relationship. And no one ever gave it a thought. The born again. Oh, let me finish reading that. In the Gospel of John, chapter 3 and verse 3. Yeshua answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yah. Okay? Nicodemus said unto him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Yeshua answered, verily, verily, this is verse 5, verily, verily, I say to thee, except a man is born of the water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom. That water is going to be the baptism, but it's not the water of baptism in the flesh. It's the water that cleanses you in the spirit. Okay? This is how he prepared you for the spirit. Now listen to what he said. He said, except a man is born of the water and the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yah. Go back up to 3. It says, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man is born again. You see, that word again is letting you know you have to have a rebirth. Not the first one you came down with the Spirit, but a second one. And he says here, unless a man is born of the water and the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom. Verse 6, that which is born of the flesh is flesh. That which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Born of the Spirit is spirit. But what does it say? You got to be born again. You see? Again. So the first birth, we came down here with a spiritual mission. And what happened? We became lost. It would be no reason, none whatsoever, for the lamb to be slaughtered before the foundation of the world, for the redemption or the redeeming or being saved and the salvation. If we came down in the spirit already and we remain walking in the spirit, if we remain that way, somewhere online, you have to, the key is in what? Do you anyone know where the key? Oh, let me finish reading this because he goes all the way down. He got to 7. And verse 5 says, and Yeshua answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of the water and of the spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yah. That which is born of flesh is flesh. That which is born of spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I say unto thee, you must be born again. And that's the second birth. That's what redeemed us. So that we can now what? It says here, enter into the kingdom. And verse 3 says, see the kingdom. Verse 5 says that we can enter into the kingdom. So it's connected to the kingdom, being born again. I believe that we come down here already in the spirit. Those that are born to walk in the spirit, and I think those that are born to follow the flesh, to walk in the flesh. But when we get down here, we become like unto the flesh. And we begin to walk as the flesh, as if we have no spirit that represent the walk in the spirit. But did not he know it? That's why he did it at the beginning, y'all. He didn't wait until Yeshua came down, because the sure whole purpose was to come down to for the lost. He was coming down to redeem the lost back. And the lost, I believe Yeshua came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But I know for a fact that Paul came for the Gentiles. Because all nations gonna pull up. All nations gonna pull up. Water is flesh, I believe, sister. You said born of the water is flesh. Yeah, that baptism in that flesh. Yes, that is. But that's why we know he's not talking about that water. Because when we get to the kingdom, he talking about he that thirst, he will give you a drink of water. And that's in the kingdom. So I know that he's speaking there is the baptism in the flesh. I don't think that's, you know how to go and said, I want to be baptized. I think that's a flesh baptism. But I think that there's a baptism, that water is the flesh. But I think the baptism in the spirit is the water. And I'm gonna cover that tomorrow about the water. And so y'all can see the spiritual connection to the water that he's talking about here. Because it ain't the natural water. Okay. So I'm gonna cover that. It states it so in verse 6. Remember the statement of the woman breaking her water. What do the brother think? What do the brother think? I don't understand. You said in verse 6. In verse 6 it says what? That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the spirit is spirit. So that's, and you said born of the water is flesh. Go back to verse 5. In verse 5, Yeshua says, "Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of spirit." So it's speaking of water and of spirit. Okay. Except he's born, he may be born, he be a man be born of water and of spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom. And once I cover the water tomorrow, then you'll see what the water, right? The water is spiritual. That's a spiritual water, right? That, you know how, like the Father said, he said, when you're born, you ought to cry, but when a person pass away, you are to rejoice because no more suffering in the world. Everything he has to go the right way, man has flipped it the left. Okay, so I believe even the water baptism that what's his name? What's that guy name that goes around baptizing people? I forgot his name, and he think he's doing a wonderful job, y'all. He's baptizing hundreds and hundreds of people all over the world, and he think he's doing something. Y'all know his name. Well, see, that baptism is for the flesh. That's the water for the flesh. Y'all don't need natural water for the spirit. So when he's talking in verse 5, a man be born, except a man be born of water and of spirit. So we got to understand this water would have to be spiritual if he want them to also and of the spirit. So it have to be a oneness in the water and the spirit. Now, if he just said, if a man be, except a man be born of the spirit, then yeah, you might can use the water being flesh. But if it's saying, if a man, except a man be born of water and spirit, he's letting you know those two got to be a oneness. Okay. And in verse 6, he said, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the spirit is spirit. I think that still is like connecting you to the fact that there are those who come here to the earth born of the flesh, and there are those who come here to the earth is born of the spirit. But where you keep messing up with is, what is the purpose of the lamb being slaughtered before the foundation of the world, and then come here way after the past the New Testament, I mean the Old Testament, past Torah, and here come the Messiah saying, I'm coming for the lost. Well, who told you something was lost? You see, we would not even need anyone to be lost. We would not need a redeemer if we just still have the spiritual seed, and we're just the spiritual seed. But what we keep forgetting, we've been on this earth and ain't done nothing right. So y'all did something right because we did everything wrong, and we still doing everything wrong. But what separate us from everybody else that's doing wrong? The Redeemer. You get it? That's how we get back. We get back through the Redeemer. Gino. Yeah, that's his name. Gino. Yeah, that's his name. Okay, you said that also talk about the baptism John was doing tomorrow. Okay, yeah, I sure will. That's why John was telling him, I don't need to baptize you. Why? You're holy. You see? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. And what was John doing? John was baptizing in the water. But where everyone dropped the ball and missed, this wasn't about the water. Because where heavens opened up and sent that dove down, We miss the baptism. We miss the baptism of the Spirit. That's what I'm telling you. It's so much been dropped to where we still stuck on the way we were taught, the way we believe, and we don't understand the spiritual. And that's something else I have learned in my elderly years. And do y'all know I heard two people teaching that people need to go back to the understanding of the Spirit, because it'll take you out of the understanding of the flesh and let you allow you to see the reality of both sides, flesh and spirit. But when you only understand it from the standpoint of the flesh, then we get stuck right there. And it's only could be this way. But when the Spirit, and that's how Yah said, greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. What does he tell you? I'm a spirit. I'm in you. I'm greater than anything on the outside of you, which is in the world, even your own flesh. So he's even telling you, I come to be a teacher, a revealer, one to show you things to come, to comfort you. You see, I come to do all those things, but it's only from the spiritual standpoint. But nobody don't know that. They thinking he coming and they're going to be able to do everything on the natural to reveal what's in the spirit. No, it ain't, baby. You got to grip the understanding in the Spirit so you can be able to hear what the Spirit is teaching and showing you, so you can be able to perform it. Whatever he gives you, you can perform it in the flesh. Yeah. Okay. And I will, because I think we need to hear about that water, that spiritual water you're talking about. I think that's a good topic to talk about. I really do. Okay. You say a woman breaks her water before the flesh is born. That's true. That's true. But you got to understand that's flesh. None of that is spiritual. We cannot connect her water to the Spirit. We can't do that. What did David say? Let me go back here to David. Let me go back to David so you can kind of get a feel. And I mean, I don't care how old I am. I'm just grateful that the Father revealed that to me, because I did not know that. And to know that it's a sin to conceive, that blew me off the map, which it makes sense. Everything that's in your body, if you knew what is in that water that woman is carrying that baby in, that baby is having bowel movements, okay, urinating. You see, this is a total. Now, what happened is, like I said, we can kind of connect the both together and make it make sense. But the truth of the matter, it ain't what is truth. Okay. And here in Psalms 51, let me say that again. And I think everybody needs to highlight this in your Bible. You need to really highlight Psalms 51 and verse 5. Really 4 and 5. In Psalms 51, verse 5, behold, I was shaped in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. See, what we don't understand, we can't seem to separate flesh from spirit. We can't seem to do it, because we think that they detached in a way that they support one another or they're bound to one another. But this is where Yah needs to be able to use us. And this is what he mean when he says spirit and truth. This is what he mean when he say light. It's because those things are spiritual. We need to know how to divide the natural from the spirit. And it's real hard for people to do that. Let me tell you why. This is the main reason why we have all these different denominations and different beliefs. because they can't seem to separate the spirit from the flesh. They think they go hand in hand somewhere on down the line. And it don't, y'all. So like you said, the John the Baptist, his baptism, we'll talk about that tomorrow. And then I will get all the verses to show you that this water he's talking about being born again is not the water in a woman's womb when she break water. If you only knew what's in that womb, that water, what she's breaking. The breath of life is not even in that womb. Woo, Deborah, no, you ain't going there. Oh, yeah, I got to go there. So I don't know how we can get that water connected with the spiritual. You can't. So we got to go back, and everybody go back into to the realm of the water, and then you'll understand. Because if you ever read where he brings you to the level of heaven, and in that level of heavens, you'll hear him talking about the water. I give him that thirst water. See, because we can't seem to understand that everything we lock in the natural is not really what is locked in the spirit. It was first spiritual before it was natural. A baby in the sack of water is natural. It's identical to what David is saying in Psalms 51 and verse 5. He said, behold mean look, I was shaped in iniquity. Why? Because he's flesh. And in sin did my mother conceive me. Why? Because a mother laying down with a man is all flesh. Sin. Flesh is sin. That's another reason why we needed to be redeemed. Because even though we came down here in the spirit, the flesh have gotten full control over our spirit that came down here to represent Yah. Want me to tell you why? I have sat on this devil platform for the last 5 years and tried to convince people of the gifts of the spirit that's supposed to reign in you. And you can't seem to get anyone to understand that, because they think the level of the flesh is equal to the level of the spirit. And he already told you, no, you can't serve him in your flesh. But people don't care about that. You can't worship me in your flesh. He wants you to do that by spirit. He wants you to do that by spirit. That's why you can come up. When you do it that route, then he can teach you. And then when you begin to teach, people begin to say, where you come from? I ain't never heard it like that, but whoa, that makes sense. And that's what it says. I never heard it broke down like that. You know why? Everybody keep wanting to route things in the flesh. They don't want to hear it in the level of the spirit. And what happens is people begin to live and die. He said, my people perish due to lack of knowledge, because they live and die not knowing what Yah is allowing you to know today. But people don't care. That's why I say, when I say it's over, it's over. Because people don't care what level nothing is at. It's either me being able to add the flesh with the spirit, and maybe we can come out and balance it. No, it ain't going to be. Okay, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow, about the water, so we can get some understanding of what is this water he's talking about, and the spirit that you need to be born again. It ain't no connection to the flesh. Woo, ain't got no connection. Want me to tell you another reason? When you go back to the Gospel of John, and you see in verse 5, Yeshua answered, very verily I say unto thee, except a man is born of water and of spirit. You notice the spirit is capitalized. So it ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with your flesh. You see, it ain't got nothing to do with your flesh. So he's trying to get you to see the way he has redeemed you. This is how, and that's what we're going to do. Let's do that tomorrow. Let's talk about, we can go into John the Baptist, the baptism of Yeshua HaMashiach, And and if people never would have thought why John to say that he should not, why should he have to baptize him? That's what John was wondering. I need not to baptize, but no, it was to be fulfilled, because the baptism he was showing him by the dove coming out and landing on him, and Yah speaking from the kingdom. This is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. He was being baptized at that moment by the Spirit. Okay. It really wasn't about the water. But we're going to get into that, and we'll find out tomorrow when we get into it. Okay. Also talk about the baptism of John, the baptism John was doing tomorrow. Okay, we'll do that. The baptism by the fire of the Holy Ghost. Exactly. Okay. And the Holy Ghost is that spirit of Yah. Exactly. Geno Jennings. Yeah, that's his name. I couldn't get that name out for nothing. All right. Shalom. Someone poured in. No good thing dwell in the flesh. And when David told me that, it just done something to me that made me feel real good. Because now when I talk to strangers and when I talk to people, it's easier for me to let them know that that's one thing we got in common. We all have sinned, and nobody is exempt from it. But because you've been redeemed, the redeemed allow you to be blameless. Okay. It ain't saying you are not going to sin. Because when we came down here, we continued to sin, even though we was a spiritual seed. When we tell you why we was the spiritual seed, he said, you are the light that sat upon a hill. So we were supposed to be the light. What happened? We needed a redeemer, because we ain't the light that should have been set up on a hill. We didn't do nothing, to be that bright light. We went the way of the darkness. Okay. You're right. Water is not capitalized in the whole King James Bible. The right arm is not capitalized. The right hand is not capitalized. But they all are the power. Praise the mighty Yah. Anything in this book, I was just telling it to my daughter. When you look into this book, you can read all day and night. It's a lot of things in here that doesn't have the T's crossed and the I's dotted. But I can guarantee you, with the Ruach HaKodesh, he going to get it right in you. His teaching is going to get it right in you. Okay. Yeah, I didn't need to be redeemed. No, he did. He didn't need to be redeemed. He didn't need to repent. Nope, you're right. That's why, right. That's why John the Baptist was saying that. Yes. But after he heard the voice of Yah, heavens opened up, the dove came down. See, that was what you call strictly a miracle. But we dropped the ball. Nobody would cover that in that realm of the spirit. Look how beautiful that is. No one would cover it. They wouldn't cover that for nothing in the world. They won't cover it. But that, to me, that goes to show you how many times throughout life the ball has been dropped. And no one gives a rat's behind, even to today. Now, if the Redeemer hadn't have come, you said it earlier, we'll all still be what? Lost. Even if we came down here as the spiritual seed. Look at Sister Deborah telling y'all it's the year of 2025 and everybody is standing up against the wall saying, so what? We waiting because we got a key in one hand and we got our ticket in the other. We just on the wall waiting and living the world. But they assume, they just imagine. That just should tell y'all all something. But that's the mindset of people. So he's saying, okay, I got that. I'm sending this ram in the bush down here. The lamb that's slaughtered before the foundation of the world. He's going to redeem the back. And there's many people right today, 99.9, are standing up against a wall, waiting for the rapture, waiting for heavens to open up and call them up. They're doing everything the world is doing. And some, but it don't matter. I have the Ruach HaKodesh. I have the Holy Spirit. They were born to walk in the Spirit, but they got lost. But there are those who were born of the Spirit and still got lost and still don't believe in the Redeemer. Still have not accepted Yeshua HaMashiach, the mission of the Father. See, this is how they're not going to go back. See, people think that. I'm telling you, I sat here and been talking about it for the last 3 or 4 years. People think they got a ticket in his hand and they got a key in his hand and can't nobody tell me nothing. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out, well, wait a minute. Father, you got me laboring and long suffering and endurance and everybody standing around against the wall just waiting for you to let them in. What kind of rats behind is that? But that's the spirit of people. That's their spirit thinks like that because that's how they flesh react. See, they don't understand your flesh react to the way your spirit is. And when you thinking that all you have to do is sit up against the wall and you in there and anybody else can't tell you nothing no different. Keep standing on that wall if you want. That wall don't have roots. It's not in the soil. You see? So it's an action that people are portraying today. And it's all, that's why he keeps saying the narrow gate and small remnant, 144,000. I'm like saying, Father, they still can't get it. They can't get none of that. All that's showing you that's the smallest, pin needle, but nobody can get it because they figured they waiting for the rapture. People are actually waiting for the rapture. Yeah. People are waiting for the rapture. So I, Sister Deborah, would say if anyone didn't have any more questions, I'm going to pour out this evening. I think I got some things I got to tie up this night tonight. And I say, if you didn't have any more questions, I appreciate each and every last one of you all tuning in. And I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. And we will be talking about John the Baptist and John the Baptist baptism and the water. We would go back into it's going to go into a discussion into that. Someone was talking about how Yeshua, when they pierced him on the cross, what flowed out was blood and water. You see, and we're going to just dig in and find out through the Spirit, who knows it all. And never is it what we read it to be. We have to be able to take the route of the Spirit. And I'm gonna break that thing up. I'm gonna land it up and bring that bad boy down. Because heavens talks about water all the time. And I'm talking about in the kingdom. He talks about water. He that thirst, what did Yeshua tell the woman at the well? I will give you water, you will never thirst again. See, people don't understand that. They understand it in a sense of the way they were taught. And the reason why the ball been dropped since Genesis is because that same thing exists today to keep people from seeking the spiritual answer to things versus what they've been taught for so many years. You see, you cannot mix natural water with spiritual water. He asked her to get him a drink of water. He was telling her to just get, he didn't want no water from that well. He wanted to let her know what he had to offer, the drink that he can give her, the water he can give her. She'll never thirst again. See, the only reason why people don't teach that and preach that and minister that or even understand it, because no one want to pull the glory in it. They won't give y'all the glory out of it. They can't give y'all the praise. They can't give y'all the honor. That is a powerful thing for Yeshua to say that. Is that water you talking about born again? Yeah. I give you water you won't ever have to thirst again. See? But we take that water and we apply it to the natural water that's connected to the flesh, and we think we in there. You're a long ways from home. A long ways from home. Because you can't keep putting, and that's what they have done from the beginning. That's why they couldn't see that. What is this right hand that's in here almost 2,000 times? What is this stretched out arm the stretched out arm in the right hand is in here almost 2,000 times? Why ain't nobody ever taught that? You see? All the spiritual things people have done away with because they have meditated on the natural, and they have caused it to be all they believe, all they receive, and all they understanding. But when you start to be able to set up under the Ruach, you don't even have to ask the Ruach. He's going to tell you what you need to know anyway. Okay, so our Sister Deborah say, I appreciate each and he told her about the living water. That's what I'm trying to say to you all. So I just got to cover it tomorrow to show you the difference. And don't ever get mixed up with water of the flesh with the water of the spirit. Please don't do that, y'all. Don't go that route. Don't put them down that low. Don't put the Most High down that low. Please. That's what John the Baptist was saying. Wait a minute. I don't have no business trying to baptize you. You know, he's letting you know I'm in the lake. What I'm baptizing you for? You already holy. You see, but the baptism was not so much as the water that John the Baptist was baptizing him in. It was what was taking place. The dove coming down and the heavens open up. Can't nothing outride that baptism. You get what I'm saying? But they missed it. Why? Because they can't give y'all the glory in that. They can't give y'all the power in that. They can't give y'all the praise in that. They can't give y'all the honor. You get the point I'm making? They don't want to give him that. So they leave it right there where it's at and continue to teach people and deceive people from that level because they don't want y'all to inherit nothing. So I, Sister Deborah, say, I will be back. There is water in the spirit and the flesh. Okay, you said that there's water in the spirit and the flesh. Okay, yeah, it's two different waters. Exactly, you're right. But you can't combine the flesh with the spiritual water. You can't. You can't. If I am a spirit, can you see it? Can you see it? No, you couldn't. That's how the spiritual water is. It's spiritual. And the power that holds that spiritual water is so, how would I say it? Distance. It don't come nowhere near the natural water. Okay? Okay. Praise the Most High Yah. Okay, so I, Sister Deborah, appreciate each and every last one of you all each and every last one of you this evening, and I will be back tomorrow. And I say unto you all, shalom and shalom.